Hi, it's Cherie from Big Notes Get Votes, and today what I want to take you through is my 72-hour or 3-day pre-performance checklist. I have listed out all of the things that I really like to focus on in the 3 days leading into any important live performance or studio session. Now you can do these at any time, and you should be doing the majority of these as a baseline for your everyday vocal care practices. But if you're at a pinch, or if something's come up last minute and you've only got a few days to prepare, these are the things that I'd like you to focus on. So let's have a look at the checklist. By the way, you can download this checklist using the link that's in the description box. There are tons of other resources there for you as well. So let me take you through it. The number one thing for me as a singer is a focus on vocal health. So if your vocal health is on point, your instrument can perform in the best way possible. You can overlay all of your amazing singing techniques on top. And the 3 things that you want to be doing every day, all day, gigs, no gigs, is to be relaxing your body, releasing any tensions with some singer's stretches. And I have a great video that'll show you how. Sirens for your voice, which is essentially a stretch for your vocal folds. So you're stretching, there's a theme there. And then last but not least, speaking voice mindfulness. And this is being really mindful of how you're using your voice off stage. So here are some other things that you can look at as well. Number 1 for me is sleep. Resting your body, allowing it to renew and rejuvenate so that any swelling that does happen from day-to-day speaking or any kind of voice use, by sleeping you can rest and relax your voice, and your entire body, which of course houses your instrument, is able to replenish and renew, and in turn your vocals will feel heaps better. Now there's no right or wrong, it's whatever is good for you. I like about 7 hours a night. That works really well for me. The next most important thing is hydration. So working out exactly what you need and then trying to hit that mark, especially in the 3 days leading into an important performance. If you don't hit the mark, the next step is topical hydration. You can steam your voice, and I do this anyway. I always hit my mark of about 2.5 liters of water a day, but I'll still add on some steaming for 5 to 10 minutes, especially before and after any practices or performances, to just really make sure that I'm super hydrated and my vocal folds are ready and as pliable as possible, full of hydration. You can also use salt gargling. It's great for adding moisture into your mouth and clearing away any bacteria that might be hanging around. So you want to be focused on looking after your entire oral, nasal passages, throat, and just making sure that you're 100% feeling good as you're leading into your performance. The next thing you might want to consider is eliminating or limiting any dehydrating substances, and that are things like caffeine, energy drinks, alcohol, all the good stuff. I know. But if you are just focusing in the 3 days prior, 72 hours before, you can pull those out. Disclaimer, if you, like me, are a caffeine addict, it might just pay to balance out your consumption. So if you usually have 3 cups of coffee a day, I want you to just add in a cup of water as well on top of your steaming and your day-to-day hydration requirements, so that you're just balancing things out, because we've got to live our lives, and sometimes if you do drink a lot of coffee like I do, it might even be detrimental to pull out these things. So ease into things, and you can look long-term to maybe reduce them if you find that they are drying out your voice. A fave for me is licorice tea, which I do try and alternate coffee with a glass of water and some licorice tea as well. So you find things that work, but most importantly, I want you relaxed and stress-free as you head into this important performance. As I mentioned, with speaking voice mindfulness, we also want to be mindful of how we utilize our voice in the days leading up. We often have a lot of rehearsals, and we tend to want to give it 110%, but sometimes you end up leaving your best voice in the rehearsal room. So I want you to consider marking. It's a dancing term. And what that is when dancers, they will walk through their dance moves, hit their mark, but they're not going full tilt. So I want you to consider in those rehearsal times using a technique that helps you to just work at 50% so that your best voice isn't left in the rehearsal room. And you can let the band know as well, if you're working with a band, that you won't be going 100% until closer to the performance time. You also want to be mindful of using speech quality or chest voice at really high pitches without adding in any kind of support like anchoring. And to conserve your voice, consider using a lighter voice quality, and this can go hand in hand with marking at rehearsals. So using a head voice or lightly singing through the songs is a really great way of conserving your voice when you're leading into a big performance. Remember to pace yourself as well. Jot down how your voice is feeling day to day so you can pick up on anything that might be coming up, a cold, or maybe you've overused it a little bit, as this information not only is going to serve you in how you might look after your voice or treat your voice in the days that are ahead leading into the performance, but down the track, you can reflect on what worked really well leading into this performance and maybe what you'd like to change next time. Keeping a vocal journal is a great way of jotting this down. You can do it digitally, or you can have a little printout, and I have one for you if you want that. And that will be a great way of just really being mindful and having something in writing that you can reflect on for your next big performance. There are some other really great things that you can do as well, like if you suffer from sinus issues, using a nasal irrigation or a sinus rinse is a great way of moisturizing your nasal passages. So we talked about a salt gargle for your mouth. This is essentially like a nasal gargle. So you're using a saline solution as well, and you can buy one from any good chemist, a little bottle, and you're basically squirting water in one nostril, it's coming out the other side, and then you do it again on the next side. So you're basically cleansing out your sinus passages, your nasal passages, with a saline solution. It's very important that you use boiled and cooled water. You can slightly heat that back up so it's warm, and that saline solution you can make yourself. It's a mix of baking soda and non-iodized salt. I use pink Himalayan salt, but if you get a little bottle from the chemist, that often comes with pre-made or pre-mixed solutions that you can use. And so the goal is getting at least maybe 60 to 120 mils up one nostril, and then that flushes out any allergens, gunkies, whatever might be hanging around, and then you do the same thing on the other side. That is a secret weapon. That's a great one if you suffer from sinus issues. Reviewing your diet in the lead up is a really great way of getting an extra boost for your voice. Being mindful if there's anything that's causing excess mucus production. In some people it's dairy. It's important to be mindful of any foods that might mess with your pH balance a little bit. So anything that's overly spicy or overly acidic can cause you to have reflux, which is not great for the vocal folds. It's essentially digestive acids that move up from your stomach through your esophagus and onto your vocal folds, can make you feel very raspy. Sometimes you don't even know it's happening. It's called silent reflux. But monitoring your diet, so both ends of the scale, excess mucus or anything that's going to mess with your pH balance, is definitely something to be mindful of. And eating well is going to keep your energy levels and your brain focused for that important performance. As I mentioned before with speaking voice mindfulness, you do want to avoid abusing or misusing your voice. So loud yelling, shouting is a negative way to impact your speaking voice. So you really want to be mindful of not overusing it and giving it a chance in those 3 days before, using vocal rest. Vocal rest is an excellent tool that you can use where you're taking at least 20 minutes after any practices, rehearsals, high voice use, and letting your voice have some rest in the moment. So along with sleep, that's really going to help you to reduce any swelling that occurs when you're using your voice. And this is normal. It's a buildup of lactic acid in the muscle, and it does need time. Like with any other muscle, does need time to release. So you want to give it that opportunity by resting on top of having a really good sleep. Another thing I'd like you to think about is to minimize any throat clearing. It's essentially your vocal folds slamming together when you're clearing excess mucus. You might want to consider whether you want to review your diet a little bit more and maybe there's something that's making that excess mucus, or you might like to increase your hydration. You also might want to consider seeing an ear, nose and throat or a laryngologist, a specialist, if it's something that is ongoing. Sometimes it's just a nervous habit, especially when you're leading into maybe a high intensity or high stress performance situation. Be mindful of it. Have a sip of water. Consider other ways of clearing your throat, like breathing in through your nose quickly and then swallowing. And that air pressure, that airflow can sometimes, what I call, rattle the dags and get whatever's on your vocal folds down and off. You can either spit it out or you can swallow it. I know this is a very classic conversation, but I'm giving you the goods, the facts that are going to help you. The other thing that you can do is push air quickly up. So I call it panting like a dog. You don't want to overdo it, but it's about increasing airflow to rattle anything that might be sitting on your vocal folds. So if you've tried all of these things and you still find that you might be habitually throat clearing or just feel like you actually need to clear your throat, even if your hydration and your nutrition is on point, go and get it checked out by an ear, nose and throat specialist or a laryngologist. And last but not least, moving and stretching is a great way, of relaxing your body, realigning, and just helping you to recenter, especially if you've been working hard and you're a little stressed out about the performance that's coming up, and that's normal because you want to do a good job, right? So I just want you to take a moment to just, even when you're in the session or at the gig, if you've got time, just take a little walk around the block, recenter. Walking and moving and keeping your body relaxed helps to engage your breathing muscles and will help you to clear your mind and focus on the task at hand, which is giving a killer performance. You've done all the hard work with the rehearsals. You're ready to go after looking after your voice. Now it's time to get on stage or do your performance and have a great time. If you have any questions about some of these pre-performance ideas, or if you have some of your own that you want to share with me, comment below and I'll do my very best to help you out, or maybe I'll learn a little something from you. If you want to download this pre-performance checklist, you can do so with the link in the description box.